Hey, we're starting the live transmission, and yes, we are on. Ready to put our game face on. Okay. Hey, John.
Hey Ivan.
I'm wondering if I should introduce myself and you introduce yourself. I'm guessing that not everybody is going to know who we are.
Sure.
So just quickly, I'm Ivan. I started Authentic Norway 3 years ago. And we've been doing a lot of work with John and Sean of Cycling Europe. John, who's on screen now, and Sean, who is curing himself by way of meditation in this moment. Apparently, he's got a sore throat. And Alanya also couldn't be with us. Alanya is an important person in terms of the All There Is workshop that's coming up this weekend. So yeah, we started working with you guys about a year ago in Authentic Norway, John, and we've had a lot of fun since. Let's say. Who are you then? Just for anyone who might not know your beautiful face already.
I'm John Thompson, and myself and Sean run the company Circling Europe. And really, we just want to dive into speaking about All There Is because that's the event coming up this weekend in Norway. That's
Yeah.
like a premium offering, you could say. It's like our latest evolution. It was very much the the time spent with you on all the visits that we've had to Norway and the team there. It's very much helped create what All There is.
Mm.
So yeah, let's dive into that.
Yeah. And we've had such an easy ride recruiting for previous workshops, and people have just been lining up to knock on the door. And it seems like this time around there's a little bit of confusion uh, around what they're actually entering
Yeah,
into. So it seems to me that some people are needing some clarification and just some concrete details about what the heck they're going to invest their time and money into.
sure.
So how about you share some about that?
Yeah, I'd like to give that a crack.
Yeah. It's not easy, huh?
The first thing is for anyone who has experienced circling, it's it's certainly completely based on circling. It's grown out of our work in circling. It's inspired by circling, and it's really just our latest evolution of it. So if you've experienced circling and you enjoy it, I would just encourage you to come along to see like what we consider to be like almost the next stage or a new expression of it. Simple as that. You know, if you like circling, come and have a go at this. Just to give you a bit more of an idea of how it's different, and for people who maybe haven't experienced circling, who this workshop could still be really appropriate for. I guess one, there's so many ways to view it from, but one way that's in my mind at the moment is like if you think of yourself as this kind of this individual personality that has their own worldview, that has their own kind of emotional habits, their typical ways of being and think and doing things in their life. It's like everyone has that, and it's going around through their work life, through their family life, through their relationships, through their things that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
And during this weekend, you're going to get to experience yourself from, it's almost like from a meta perspective. It's like you're going to get to see yourself, and especially the parts of yourself that kind of, the parts of yourself that lead to friction or that kind of cause you trouble, like be it that one or two people in work that you just can't quite relate with, or when that particular conversation comes up in your family where it's just like it's just a no-go and there just seems to be like a stuck point. Those kind of blind spots and those friction areas they're likely to show up this weekend. But the difference is you're going to be in a slow motion container where you can actually capture what's happening on a deeper level for yourself in those moments, and you can get incredibly nuanced feedback from everybody around you and from the support team as to what's really happening. And those, what we find is like those kind of blind spots is one way, or like our habitual patterns that we're just not aware of, the things that we're kind of swimming in without knowing. They just, with this container that we set, they just seem to come to the foreground, which can be pretty intense for people because there's often a lot of pain or insecurity behind those habitual patterns that we have. And they get to come to the foreground, and you get to be supported in that moment and witnessed and held and challenged so that you can kind of see them from a fresh perspective and really kind of pop out of the water and see like, wow, so there's a whole new option on the other side of that. And in one way, it's
Yeah.
like, that's really simple. It's like, okay, you just get this one thing from the workshop, but then that one change can be so fundamental to people that it just cuts through their life. You know, once that change is gone, it's like suddenly that one person in work that they couldn't get on with, they're now working together with amazingly. Or that one place in your relationship where you just kept getting stuck, like now you're just gliding through it. So it can, you know, we really see transformational things happen for people who come to these workshops. Like, it's not just come and get some nice new skills. It's actually like have your world kind of blown open in a way to the point like, wow, I just hadn't seen that at all, which can be really humbling, but then just leads to a whole new set of possibilities.
Right on. So I want to play the devil's advocate in this interview, and I think from a personal perspective, I am a little bit of the devil's advocate still when it comes to this. Um, all there is, it looks like a very exciting and promising concept, and what you just said, as good as it sounds like what people would experience from circling. And now they're having to pay a little bit more for this weekend,
Yeah.
and you know, uh, what is that one thing that they couldn't expect to get from a circling weekend that they will get here?
I mean, one way it depends on the quality of the circling weekend because you, I would, it's not like there's a world of difference. An amazing circling weekend is going to produce those things.
Yeah,
For this, I would say it's just that bit closer to real life. There's that bit less of a structure that's going to guarantee you attention, that's going to bring up the things that are that bit more like painful potentially, or edgy, or exciting that happens in your real life. So there's going to be like less of a contained environment that keeps you like, oh, I'm in a workshop and we've got these rules, so I don't have to worry about this. No, it's like it's a bit more like the training wheels are taken off and we're suddenly in this big group and we're just in this together, and there's just going to be slightly, because of that slightly less like support in one sense, there's going to be that little bit more comes up for people, and as a result of that, just that slightly more exposure, the slightly more life force, you could say, coming in, the container's just a little bit more intense, bit more energy. So what we find on the other side of that is that when we're in it together, is that pretty magical things can happen in the we space. So like words like an awakened we space, flow states, like magic, archetypal energies, these kind of things start to come up in an all there is space more than they do in a circling weekend. And there's never any guarantees as to how it's going to work, but the three all there is, not three, the three all there is events that we've done, even though two of them were just afternoon and morning event, even within those shorter times, we just saw a level of, I mean, the words that you can use, spiritual, you can use magical, you can use non-duality, you can use awe, mystery, human theatre,
Hmm.
healing, freedom, realization, all of those kind of things. It's like that. I see that happen in this all there is space more. It's like we're calling for more from people. We're calling for more
I
from
I think
reality.
what I'm yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is that there is almost a sense of being thrown in at the deep end as opposed to the shallow end this time.
Yeah,
Like with circling, there is a very, I mean, I know there will be a gradual build up this time as well, but with circling, with the organic circles and the birthday circles, there's always an opportunity, it seems to me, to kind of hide a little and
yeah,
to not fully step into it.
yeah,
But that with all there is, there's something about the self-leadership quality of the whole container and concept that becomes in a way more confronting than it would be in a circling weekend,
exactly.
which may not be comfortable, but it will have big breakthrough potential.
Potential, exactly. And it's
Right.
not like I love the circling weekend model, and we still do that. And for people who want more of a gradual, step by step working into something, it's like that's perfect. This is more for someone who's probably done a fair bit of development work, and they're kind of confident in managing themselves, and they want to come along to a place where they're going to get stretched and they're going to see things beyond what they normally see, and they're going to be invited into higher levels of personal leadership and higher levels of self-realization, and really meeting themselves at a deeper level. So I think that's all it is. It's not like it's a huge difference. It's just a subtle difference that does make to a different event, and kind of for us, that's why we've come up with this new brand, because it does point to something slightly different.
Right. And there's something about that venue as well, I would say.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I find both the venues that we've used in Norway seem to create incredible depth. There's something about being in a Buddhist place where there's so much has already happened in there. There's a lineage
yes.
and this venue in particular, it's out in the forest. We're in the trees, in the wind. It's a place where people can really bring everything, let go of everything, and enjoy the ride.
I get this funny image of when I was young, I used to love watching Poirot. The Agatha Christie
Yeah,
eccentric Belgian detective with
yeah,
with a mustache. With every Agatha Christie, there's always some sort of contained environment. So they're not just running around the world. No, there's like a house, or there's a little village, and then there's the murder.
yeah,
So it's almost like it's a little bit of that kind of environment where we're all stuck in a building together, and it's like the who done it scenario, and people are just talking about what's going on in the space and about the challenges that are coming up, and they're gathering in different constellations, and
yeah,
there's all kinds of
yeah,
quirky
yeah.
but really enjoyable interpersonal dynamics that are opening up in a residential retreat that I think that aren't as present when people go home at night.
Totally. Yeah, I love that kind of metaphor for what it's like, and and like that you brought the interpersonal thing in as well, because I spoke more about how it can work for you as an individual, for your life and your development, but equal and aside to that is just the quality of relationships that can be built in this space. The quality of depth and intimacy and love and authenticity that can show up in these weekends is phenomenal and rare. And that's another thing that I'm certainly looking forward to, just I know, like, in the end of All There Is when it's just sense like everyone has their place. It's like you know that the whole group couldn't function properly without everyone being in fully, and everyone has their unique gift that they're bringing in, and it's just in a flow. And that's what I'm most looking forward to, actually.
So, and I think you have neighbors sawing into
Yeah,
your apartment, John.
yeah. Sorry about that.
It's funny. Here comes Johnny. uh, so I'm just thinking I've been in a lot of these scenarios now, and also just from what you're saying, it's a bit of like an ideal way that human beings could be together in a perfect world.
It's the highest potential that I've ever witnessed is what we get at the end. It's like, yes, as I said, like everyone has their place, everyone's bringing something. It's not as if it's like, well, there is a utopian sense to it in one way, and there's also trauma releases going on and massive anger. And it's like for us to get to that place of trust and connection, it takes us to go to the edges of our deepest vulnerabilities and our deepest realizations and powers. So it's like we have to embody those to get to that place that feels pretty incredible together.
So here's a question. People have had a taste of this for the first time, and then they go back to their lives and are faced with a group of people and a setting where authenticity isn't the norm.
Yeah.
Is it possible that they could regret having taken the red pill?
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible. There's the guy in the Matrix who wants his steak again, and he goes back, and so it's possible. I haven't really witnessed that happening. Right. I think some people will just feel like, yeah, that's not for me. That's enough of that. But in general, how I see what would happen when people go back into that kind of an environment is that it will impact them heavily, because suddenly they will sense the inauthenticity that's present in the room way more than they had done before, and that's likely to make them angry or make them feel lonely or frustrate them or make them sad. So that's likely to happen. But I think they're just going to be sensing the situation with a cleaner perception, which gives them the opportunity to do something about it. And that's what I love the most about these weekends is the invitation is to take 100% responsibility for what goes on. So to really own your experience and own your leadership potential in every moment. And that's what comes with me. So every time I'm in my family, or I'm in like a more challenging environment, like in my life, it's like, rather than going into, oh, they don't get it, they're not owning their experience, they don't know what circling is, like they need to do this. It's like, no, what is my personal responsibility in this moment? Like, this is my life. This is what can I do here? And normally it's because I'm not willing to reveal how vulnerable I feel or like how edgy it is for me in that moment. So there's always the opportunity for me to do the things that circling's based on, or All There Is based on. Like, there's always that opportunity no matter what the environment, and that's what this calls out for in people.
Right. Yeah, instead of like coming home to the family and gifting them circling weekends and saying, please go here so you're less intolerable to be around.
Exactly.
Then actually claiming the leadership right there and then, walking the talk fully.
Exactly. There's nothing will ever stop you from being authentic with someone and revealing to someone what it's like to be with them. And there's nothing's ever going to stop you like really trying to get what it's like to be that other person and to accept them to a deeper level and really like try to meet them where they are. They're the fundamentals of circling, those two things for me, and they're possible in any environment, any time. They're just incredibly, incredibly difficult in our environments that challenge us the most. And that's what this
Agreed.
workshop's about. It's like bringing you into a container that's going to get heated. It's going to probably feel as hard as, with your boss or with your intimate partner when things aren't going well. That feeling's probably going to come up at some point over the weekend, but you're going to get a chance to see it and work with it in a more freeing way than probably when you're just alone, trapped in it with your partner or something.
Yeah, and when you have a neighbor sawing into your
Yeah.
apartment, when you're in the middle of an interview, maybe there's a message that's called for.
Exactly.
So, so, what makes you excited about this weekend personally?
This particular weekend, it has all of our SAS participants, so the 10 people who are in our 6-month training program in Norway. I think all 10 of those are coming to the weekend. So there's a lot of people who are deeply experienced in this work. It's back in that venue out in the woods. So I just think we're not going to have crazy numbers. It's going to be reasonably intimate. So I think we can just have a really intimate container and go on the deep dive. I want to mention about the Friday night. So for people who are maybe on the fence about it and who are not sure if it is for them, they can come along on the Friday night to the community evening where we'll give people a taster of it. We'll do some introductions, and so people could maybe make the decision. Either they can just come to that night and leave, or they can come to that night and make the decision if they would like to come for the weekend.
Right. And if they come and choose to leave, they can pay for that event, and if they choose to stay, they get that event for free, and they pay for the rest of the weekend. In a
Right.
sense.
Yeah, great.
In a sense. So
I'm thinking that's all we need to say. I mean, we could
yeah,
riff for hours, but
no, it's good.
don't want to overwhelm people.
No, it's good. Now I just hope I can get this technology to actually save what we just recorded. So let's do our bye-byes. I'll see you this coming weekend, guys and gals, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks a lot for sorting this out, and look forward to staying with you, Ivan, and carrying on our Dragon Riders journey together.
Indeed, to be continued.